Hello, this is Cacogibbon, and you're watching the All Brawl, the show where I play every commander in Standard, one by one. Today we're going to be doing Krenko, Street Kingpin. Small Goblin starts off small. Every time he attacks, he gets a +1/+1 counter. And then you create a number of 1/1 Goblins equal to Krenko's power. So, there are a couple tricks to boost Krenko's power. Let's see. Samet's Sprint, for example, gives him +2/+1, so you play that on Krenko and create 2 additional goblins. There's a lot of burn in this deck. You got Shock, got Lava Coil, Jay's Greeting. I think the Fry is there just to counteract Oko. I found a net deck and modified it very slightly. Got a Bone Crusher Giant, and of course, we've got some giant creatures that come out later on if the deck has to stick around for a while, like Dracoseth. We got the Embercleave, which I hear ends matches. I haven't used it yet, but I have one. Let's try it out. Let's see if it shows up. It gives a creature double strike, trample, and +1/+1. It comes into play at instant speed, and it costs 1 mana less for each attacking creature you control. So if you attack with Krenko, you create a ton of goblins. This thing, you just drop on Krenko immediately. Gives him double strike and trample. He probably, at that point, already has quite a bit of power if you have a lot of goblins in play. So, it could go pretty well. Let's see how it works. Krenko versus Kenrith. Well, hello there, Kenrith. Non-copyrighted stand-in for King Arthur. Is that right? Well, I mean, I'm guessing the copyright on King Arthur is probably expired by now, if there was one to begin with. Let's get a Fervent Champion in. So I got a turn 1 attack, got a turn 2 Cavalcade, turn 3 Legion Warboss if I can get a Mountain. I'm off to a good start, I think. Golden Egg. What? Oh, right. Kenrith is white, but his color identity is all 5 colors because he has activated abilities from all 5 colors. So, at first I thought I was facing a mono white deck, but that is not the case. I'm facing, quite possibly, a 5-color deck. Or it could just be banned. It could be blue, white, and green. I really don't know. Just gotta watch what kind of lands that the opponent places. Okay. Is the opponent holding up a counterspell? Second question. Do I bring Krenko in or the Legion Warboss? Krenko doesn't have haste. Let's get the Warboss in play. Let's hope he doesn't get countered. Okay. So that's 4 damage to the opponent. Right here, right now. Sometimes I check my face here to see who it's waiting for, to see if the turn's being held up by some kind of fast effect the opponent has available. Okay, at least 4 colors. I can see it. Alright, let's hope for a land when we draw. Hey, it's a land. What do we want to do? I'm not really too worried about the Cloudkin Seer. Oh, uh-oh. Technical. Hang on. Okay. The Wi-Fi cut out, and the question is, did I lose the game? Let's find out. Looks like I didn't lose any progress. So let's attack with everything. Actually, let's not attack with the Legion Warboss. Let's attack everything except the Warboss. That's going to do 6 damage to the opponent. Unless they decide to block a Goblin with a Cloudkin Seer. I don't want to attack with the Warboss because the opponent can just block with the Seer and kill it. And that's not a trade I want to make, because the Warboss is going to keep creating 1/1 Goblins that can attack for 2 with a Cavalcade every turn. I guess I could have attacked with the boar boss and surprised the opponent with an Uncaged Fury. But maybe I should save that for Krenko. Sounds like that'd be really fun for Krenko. Okay. Opponent's losing the Cloud King Seer. That's good news. And Krenko. So the opponent at this point, hemorrhaging life. Trying to do whatever it takes to last another turn. Fair enough. I'll bring him back into my hand. If I brought him into command zone, then that would have raised the cost to cast him up to 5. I don't want that. Fling. Okay, interesting. Let's see. Well, this time, there's nothing keeping my Legion Warboss from attacking. And I'm not afraid of Teferi. I'm not going to bother with trying to get rid of Teferi. Let's just go face with everything I have. The Mentor's going to kick in. Let's see. Yeah, let's Mentor a Goblin. So, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, just 9. Oh, that's the part where I fling a Goblin at my opponent, but they're not going to stick around to see that happen. That's it. That was fast. That was, what, a turn 4 win? Not too bad. Not too shabby. Okay. Had some internet problems. Coming back into the match versus Golos. And what is this mess? Okay. Is the opponent lagging out too? Or is it just me lagging out, which makes it look like the opponent's lagging out? Okay. I'll keep. Sarkhan's Catharsis. Is that too expensive to do 5 damage? I know you have to be flexible with brawls. It's a singleton format, so you can only play one of each card. Let's see. Let's go Scorch Spitter. Scorch Spitter is going to be a reliable 2 damage next turn, whereas Fervent is going to be 1 this turn, 1 next turn. It probably doesn't matter. Probably overthought it. Opponent with the Fabled Passage. If they do have a Field of the Dead in their deck, cards like Fabled Passage and Evolving Wilds are good with Field of the Dead because you can get a zombie when you play them, and another zombie when you fetch whatever it is it's trying to get out of your library. Second land. 9 cards in your graveyard. Interesting. Well, let's Bone Crush this dude. And get 2 damage through. Oops. Next turn, if I don't draw a land, then I'll be willing to... Oh! Interesting. That would have put 3 lands in the graveyard. Elvish Reclaimer would have gotten really big. Okay. I was getting ready to do Light Up the Stage. Turns out that's not necessary. Let's get Krenko out. Or should we go War Boss? That's what we did last time. Actually, if we get War Boss out, he gets a Goblin immediately. If I'm able to get Torbran out next turn, then that'd just be a ton of damage straight at my opponent's face. So, let's hope for a mountain. If I don't draw a mountain, then I can just light up the stage. Circuitous Route. Okay, let's see. I didn't draw a mountain, but I got a Cavalcade. Let's get that in play before the attack, because that'll be quite a bit more damage. Attack with everything. Triggers and triggers and triggers. After the attack, I'll light up the stage to see if I can't find a mountain. Because Torbrand would be really nice right now. In fact, if I had a Torbrand before, if I had drawn a mountain, then the game might be over right now. Verdant Champion. Poor Krenko. He's not getting called up in his own deck. He's still sitting there being a bench warmer. What's the play? They're gonna shock themselves? They have some kind of super genius play here. Cavalier of Dawn. Destroy one non-land permanent. Okay. And that's game. The opponent just showing me they've got a cool card in their hand. And they did. I agree. Krenko versus Emery? Emery, Lurker of the Loch. So, is that the lady of the lake? Let me know in the comments, because I'm not up on this, all of this lore. Dwarven Mine. I think I'll just lead in with a, well, nope. No, we're gonna get a Scorch Spitter in first. So, Emery, are you like a blue and artifact deck? Yes. Yes, you are. So, the Inquisitive Puppet has the ability to blink into a human. So it can block my Scorch Spitter and then change into a human. Or it can change into a human right after I attack and then block. Let's see. So I'm gonna get the Dwarven Mine in. So next turn, I'll have the Fuel for Krenko. I think I'm gonna attack with a Scorch Spitter. For a very specific reason. If, right after my attack, they decide to blink the puppet into a 1/1 human, then I can respond with my maximized velocity so that I don't lose my Scorch Spitter. I'm attached to the little guy. So I'm going to wait until they commit to blocking my Scorch Spitter. Then I'll boost up my Spitter. And they'll lose their Pinocchio. Doesn't really look like Pinocchio though, huh? Oh, that's a sorcery. Misplay! I'm not gonna play my light up the stage because I'm gonna go ahead and say oops. I'm not gonna light up my stage because I just want to throw a mountain down and cast Krenko next turn. I don't think there's anything else I want to do then. So, Emery can pull artifacts. Excuse me. Artifacts? Emery can pull artifacts from the graveyard and cast them. Now, the deal with the Inquisitive Puppet was that my opponent had to exile it in order to change it into a human. So that one's not coming back. But they can sacrifice their Guild Globe and then bring it back. Oh. We're gonna draw and draw and draw and draw. Emery only cost 1 because they had 2 artifacts in play when they cast it. They're gonna start drawing cards. So let's see. You get an hour counter on the midnight clock every upkeep. That's their upkeep and my upkeep. Let's see. Oh, they draw 7 cards when it hits 12. Fair enough. Okay. What do I want to do? Alright, let's do something crazy. So, when Krenko attacks, you create a goblin for each power he has. So we're going to give him +2 power and then attack. He's going to have double strike, so the opponent's going to have to... the opponent's probably going to just block with Emery because they can recast their Emery for just 3 mana. That's going to be pretty cheap. It is their commander. Not everybody wants to just throw their commander on the bus in a heartbeat. That is a double strike, so that's 8 damage. That's not nothing. I would have thrown Emery under the bus. I'm sorry, Emery. I would have done it. I would have done it and wouldn't even have looked back. So if you look at Emery, that's not the same sword that Lyndon has, right? It can't be. Ginger Brute. I see a lot of Ginger Brutes. What's the appeal of Ginger Brute? Can you help me out in the comments? I mean, I guess you got an unblockable 1/1, but is that exciting? I don't get it. Okay. Should we just attack with everything? Maximize velocity is a sorcery. The opponent has 3 on the board, but Krenko will get a +1/+1 when he attacks. So, let's attack with everything. I'm not really that worried about protecting my 10 Street Dodger. I can make him unblockable, but I'd rather just light up the stage and have that extra mana to cast something. Yeah, I'd block the 10 Street Dodger if I were you. Okay. Alright, that's a good play. I probably should have maximized the velocity of the Krenko before attacking, but oh well. I would have had to ditch him out. That probably would have been fine. Oh, that's smart. I gained some life. Well, we'll still take 3 damage. And Krenko is still gonna tick up in power bit by bit. Let's see if we can get something fun. I'm lighting up the stage. Fling and Risk Factor. Let's cast a Risk Factor. Let's force our opponent to choose to either take 4 damage right now or let me draw 3 cards. Generally, you take the damage, because oftentimes drawing 3 cards, there's 4 damage worth of cards in there when you're playing against red. This is a critical turn for the opponent. Krenko is going to be a 4/5 next turn, so they won't be able to block it with their Corridor Monitor without losing it. Strive 4, then draw 2 cards. That's not going to help them this turn. That's going to help them next turn. Unless they got some kind of, let's see. Yeah, 4 bottom. They do not like what they see. Manifold Key. Yeah. They had a bunch of, I'm sure they had a lot of really cool tricks in their basket, but when you're up against Krenko, you gotta have solutions fast. Krenko versus Bolas. Going to do my best to make sure that this is going to be a short game. I'm going to keep this hand so I can get the Leyline of Combustion into play. That's fun. And let's go. I don't have any early plays, but I think it's worth it to get the Leyline. Whenever a permanent I control or myself is the target of a spell or ability the opponent controls, the opponent takes 2 damage. So, Thought Erasure, 2 damage. Any kind of creature destruction spell or creature removal spell they cast on my creatures, 2 damage. And Grixis has a lot of that kind of stuff. The opponent's going to take a lot of damage from my Leyline, I predict. We'll cast Krenko now. And then next turn, we can cast Torbran. Oh, well. Alright, fair enough. Back into the command zone with Krenko. I was hatching a plan, but didn't account for that. I guess it would have been better to sacrifice the Bone Crusher Giant. I mean, I would have had to cast him without using his adventure. So that would have been kind of bad. Oh, let's see. I'm in kind of an awkward spot. Do I cast Torbran now? Probably not. Let's just get a creature on. I know I'm losing the opportunity to do his adventure, but let's just get a 4/3 out there. Just so the opponent has something they have to deal with. If they drop a land, cast Bolas. Then they're probably going to have to -3 their bolas to destroy the giant. So I'm guessing they'll do something different. Lava coil. Alright, well, do they take 4 damage? They take 2 damage from the ley line, and 2 damage from the Bone Crusher Giant. All because the opponent had the audacity to target it. Let's get a War Boss out. And are they able to destroy the War Boss before it creates a creature token? If so, then that's frowny face. Well, they still took 2 damage from the ley line of combustion. That thing's more than paid for itself. Ral. Okay. Opponent's grabbing something out of their library. This match is stretching uncomfortably long. I have 5 mana now, which means I can get my Raise Boar out. Yes. We'll get out the Raise Boar now. The opponent has to deal with this thing. Unfortunately, they can just remove it with the Nickel Bolas, and I don't have anything else on the board. Yeah, kind of hoping he wouldn't do that, but I mean, that's the obvious play. He or she. My opponent.
Schemes have been foiled.
Well, that's not the last you've seen of Ilharg, the Raise Boar. The opponent's ticking up some card advantage, and I'm not able to do anything about it right now. If I cast Krenko, the opponent can -3 their Ral and take him out. Let's see, drop a land. I guess it's Torbran. The good news is, if they cast any removal spell on Torbran, then they take 4 damage. So that's kind of handy. Let's see. Should I drop a land? Let's drop a Ferocity of the Wilds. I don't know if that was the right choice, but it seems like I've just got my hands full trying to bring creatures into play. And that's an enchantment that only makes sense if you already have creatures in. Awakened Inferno. They could just knock down the Torbran with Chandra. Take 4 damage from it, but man, I just gotta keep bringing things into play. Oh, take another 2. I'm okay dropping the Lava Coil. I didn't need it. The opponent has not made any creatures yet, have they? I don't think they have. Goblin Banneret, if only you had haste. Well, at least I've got 2 things in play now. So, they can... Ritual of Soot did not target any of my creatures, so the opponent does not take any damage from the Leyline of Combustion.
Or is it getting a little warm in here? Oh, looks like someone's getting a little sweaty.
And now they can +2 their Bolas, of course, which means next turn they can -3 it. Well, if you're having fun watching me steamroll everybody with Krenko, now you get to enjoy me getting chipped away. Krenko's will to live is just slowly sapping away. The opponent just has to be a little bit careful of how many times they target me. Because every time they try to do something to me, it's gonna hurt. Murderous Rider, a way to get life back. 2 emblems ticking away. Let's get Ilharg out. So they got the Ral emblem.
Is it just is it getting a little warm in here?
Now, still, if they target me with this 4 damage, they take 2 damage. So they gotta watch what they're doing. Okay, Wilhard will be back. I think my best hope is that the opponent just makes too many mistakes with targeting me with things. It's really awful that they have a lifelink. I would have had a chance if they didn't have a lifelink. I can't cast Krenko. So, I think that's it. There's nothing I can do. I can't get a creature out. I had a chance when I could at least get a creature out every turn, but nope. Goodbye. Krenko versus Nissa. I don't have a good feeling about this one. Torbrand. Torbrand's good. I don't know if they'll really have a good way to answer Torbrand. They're going to be mono green. So they're going to have to fight Torbrand. They're going to have a lot of 3/3s. Torbrand's stronger, and he'll do 4 damage. So, even though there's a lot of land in his hand, I'm going to keep it. I think I'm just now noticing that the border for the rare is different from the border for the common. Right? Flat border, kind of fancy. Mythic rare is a... Oh, that's not a mythic rare. It's a legendary rare. How have I not noticed this border thing? Is that new? Let me know in the comments. Leyline of Abundance. That's a problem. Okay, they're gonna have a turn 3 Nissa. That is not good. As long as they can place a forest, they'll get 2 from the Druid, 3 from the forests. Nissa comes into play. They get a 3/3 forest with vigilance that attacks me, and then afterwards, they can cast something worth 2 mana. Really, really bad news. Ferocity of the Wilds. It seems like such a good card, but I feel like I keep playing Krenko over and over again, and then I remember to cast this thing. This is, I think, at least the 3rd time I've seen it, and I've never cast it. This is Triumph, another forest. Playing against Nissa is almost as bad as playing against Oko. But at least I know that there's not going to be an Oko this time. Because Oko is green and blue, and the opponent is only allowed to play green cards and artifacts. Shifting Ceratops. Shifting Ceratops, it might seem like a card that's specifically anti-blue, and it is, but it's just generally really good. I don't think there's any real reason not to play it. It seems like a rare instance of a hoser, right? Hoser is it's magic speak for a card that's specifically designed to attack a certain color or type of deck. It's it looks kind of like a hoser, but it's just generally good. Clockwork Servant. Interesting. You get a 2/3 body, you draw a card. It's not bad. Okay, things are starting to get out of hand. I think I need to cast Torbrand now. And then just see what the opponent does. I'll take 5 damage from the Shifting Ceratops. I'll be able to block and kill something that they attack me with, probably a forest, if they decide to attack with forests. Oh, never mind. Okay, Leyline of Abundance plus Nissa. A little bit broken, perhaps. Well, I should say specifically against a deck that has no way of dealing with enchantments. So, your red decks, your black decks, your blue decks, they can't really do much of anything against enchantments that are already in play, or enchantments that start off in play. Blue can bounce and then counter them, but that doesn't always work. Okay. Nissa ticks up again. They attack me for a ton of damage. And then they give their creatures another +1/+1. Let's see. Is there anything at this stage that's going to change my mind about whether I think I can actually win? I don't think so. So let's all but die. We'll assess which tools we have available to us during our turn, and then we'll concede. For sure. Okay. Goodbye. Alright. Ending on a down note. Okay, Krenko was a fun deck. I feel like I didn't actually play Krenko that much, though. I like the rest of the deck. It's pretty cool. And I guess I used Krenko in one of the games. Getting Krenko and Torbran out is pretty cool if you can actually make it work, because you got a bunch of 1/1s that'll do 3 damage instead of 1 damage to anything they hit. What else is there to say about Krenko? He's fun. I like Krenko. I feel like Krenko, he might be better off in a Boros type deck when you have more options for giving +1/+1 counters to Krenko, because Boros decks have a lot of tools like that. Or like Mentor, like if there's a Tajik to help Krenko out or something like that, that'd be pretty good. But he just seemed really fragile. He died a lot. And I found myself casting Goblin Chain Whirler instead of Krenko whenever I had the chance. Anyway, did you like this video? Do you like Mono Red? Do you like Krenko? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Like, dislike, if you want. Subscribe, and have a good day.